And the smiles lie brutality and rage.
And it is not from the husband. It is from the wife.
She's abusive.
I will always go to a level 10.
You said if it's not violent, I don't feel better.
She's cold.
Were you upset that he brought you a flower?
I don't know how to handle affection.
But most of all, she's a woman scorned.
This scares me when I hear stuff like this.
It scares you enough to go and have an affair?
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've heard long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phill.
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
5, 4.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. I want you to look at something for me. When you look at this picture, what do you see? It's like Officer and a Gentleman, right? A beautiful brunette with her handsome, rugged guy. They appear to be a happy couple, completely in love. But a picture is not always worth 1,000 words, because behind the beauty lies brutality, beatings, and frankly, a lot of rage. And it is not from the husband. It is from the wife. She admits to not only hitting, punching, slapping her husband of 8 years, Aaron, but calling him names that would make the FCC blush. But it was an incident 2 months ago that Ashley claims pushed her over the edge when she discovered that Aaron was having an affair. She confronted him via text. Here's an excerpt. What is her name? How many times? Aaron, I don't know, like 10. Ashley, I swear to God, I'm going to blanking gun you down in a blanking street. Fortunately, Ashley didn't shoot Aaron that night, but let's hear what she has to say.
My husband and I have been fighting since the day we got together. When my husband and I fight, I will always go to a level 10. I will call him lazy, stupid, retard. The list goes on and on and on. My husband likes to press my buttons and instigates me. I have extreme rage.
When I'm really angry, I want to see my husband in physical pain. I want his body to feel the pain that my heart feels.
When I get angry, it sounds like, are you serious right now?
You're making up in your own head. Understand that.
Like, I will kill you.
We've already talked about you. Let's move on.
It is serious. In the last 6 years, we have had over 100 physical fights. I am the aggressor. When I get to the level of rage, I will black out. I will hit him repeatedly in the face, in the chest, in the back. I scream to the point of losing my breath. My fits of rage can last an hour. I wonder every day if I am truly bipolar or if I am just a crazy bitch. My rage is the #1 thing keeping this marriage from being successful.
Ashley's husband, Aaron, is a former Marine, and some may wonder why he puts up with Ashley's abuse. Here's his side of the story.
Ashley does go 0 to 60 in the matter of moments. Out of nowhere, she'll get angry and upset. There's no gradual escalation here. All of a sudden, she just goes boom. It's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It scares me. The physical abuse began soon after we were married. She's closed fist punched me in the face. She's throwing the baby gate down the stairs, throwing end tables around. She'll punch the walls. She'll be inches from my face, screaming to the point where her face is turning completely red.
What? You're delusional.
You'll see veins popping out. It's frightening. And she rages in front of the kids. During one of the fights, she actually came at me while I was holding my son. It scares the hell out of me because they're defenseless. Our son especially is afraid of her. She'll get up in his face and she'll scream at him. He has a tendency to try to get away from her as much as he possibly can. I was physical with my wife on one occasion. She pinned me in a bathroom and we were fighting and I had to push through her arm, which ended up getting scraped up on the door frame. Other than that, I've never laid a hand on her. I think my wife's rage is definitely out of control. I'm desperate for help because it doesn't seem like Ashley listens to anybody. But she thinks Dr. Phill is the only one that can save us right now.
Well, I'm certainly going to give it the old college try. So tell me, why are you doing this?
I don't really know. Honestly, I mean, I know that I'm really mad, and a lot of times I feel like it's justified. Probably 50% of the time it's not justified. A lot of times he eggs me on. He'll come in there and push my buttons.
Okay, that is such a flawed statement, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Why do you think this is going on?
I think it's going on basically because she doesn't feel validated in whatever we're doing, or she gets frustrated and doesn't know how to, how to deal with it.
So what gives you the right to hit him? What gives you the right to rage like this? I mean, seriously, who told you that you were entitled to behave in this way?
I honestly don't think I have the right.
No, that's not true. You do think you have the right because you claim the right and then you assert the right. So don't tell me that you don't think you have the right, because you do.
Yeah, you're right. Brains and smarts and ways about me go completely out the window. I don't care. I will even say it. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, I hate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually go and hide in a closet or a bathroom and completely tear myself apart.
What does that mean? How do you do that?
When I was younger, I used to, try to give myself wounds. I wouldn't cut myself, but I would, hit myself with, things or scrape myself. I didn't know how to express my feelings.
Do you do that now? You say you go in and try to tear yourself apart. Do you go in there and hit yourself? Do you hit the wall? What do you do?
Well, when I hit the walls and stuff, it is because I'm trying to keep it in. I'm trying to keep from hitting him. Mm-hmm. I slam doors, I throw things, I do that because I'm trying to stop. I try. Mm-hmm. It just feels like I'm choking on my anger, literally.
So what are you so angry about? You sometimes pound on him and only stop when your knuckles hurt, right? What are you so mad about?
I don't remember. I black out. He triggers me. It can be because I'm talking to him about a normal conversation, and then he'll stop talking to me. One big trigger for me is he'll literally stop talking to me. And all of a sudden, something in me just done. And I see red.
Well, I strongly suspect it doesn't just happen that quick. It ramps up.
It ramps up,
and he sees that. So, my dad used to tell me, don't ever miss a good chance to shut up. And I get the sneaking suspicion that sometimes it's better off for you to stop talking.
It's a lot better off because it doesn't matter what I say. She'll just turn whatever it is that I'm saying around on me.
Yeah, well, don't sit here and act like you don't say things along the way.
Were you upset that he brought you a flower?
Kind of.
Yeah. Why is he hanging around models and sending text messages saying, "Hi, sexy"? That doesn't help. We'll talk about that after the break.
I found out that my husband has been cheating on me for a little over a year.
If she had never found out about it, I probably would never have told my wife about the affair.
And later, so what the hell's the matter with you? You got somebody sitting in your lap, pounding you in the face with both hands. You say, "This is my daily life." What the hell's wrong with you?
I have severe trust issues with my husband.
The main issue in my marriage is the lack of trust from my wife. She always kind of treats me as either a child or a subordinate in some way.
In my husband's career as a photographer, he has shot women for fashion photo shoots, which have caused major issues in our marriage. Then I felt like the girls were going to try coming on to him or hitting on him, and then he was going to try and sleep with them. I have done some pretty heavy spying, snooping. I have hacked his emails, voicemail, searched his phone, put find a phone on his cell phone. I read his tablets. You name it, girls, it's been done.
He's had one affair that you know about. and other things that you thought were on the edge, inappropriate.
Less than 2 months ago, I found out that my husband has been cheating on me for a little over a year.
How many times did I ask you in a year if you were having an affair on me? And you told me no.
Ashley found out about the affair because she found text messages between myself and this lady.
I called him right away, and I said to him, if you don't want your dirty little secret getting out, I suggest you get home right now. Your actions involve hurting other people.
I know that.
It's not all about you.
At the time of the affair, we weren't getting along because there was no intimacy in our relationship.
Don't touch me. He admitted to sleeping with her roughly 10 times over the last year.
If she had never found out about it, I probably would never have told my wife about the affair. I would have probably continued it also.
Because of what you did, there are certain words that I don't want to hear. Like, you're the only one for me. I don't want to hear that. I gag every time he tells me, you're the only one for me. That is the biggest lie.
She says that you've sent text messages to models saying, quote, hi, sexy. Email to an old girlfriend saying that you wanted to see her beautiful face. Voicemail in Aaron's phone of a female saying, I can't wait to see you. A picture of a naked woman in your cell phone. Text message to a woman saying, I'd love to see you rolling around in the dirt wearing next to nothing. And text messages to another woman with sexual innuendos and a picture of genitals. Yours or hers?
Mine.
Okay. These are the things that you found.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about all that?
Oh, I was mad. I confronted him on all of them.
Uh-huh. And what was your response?
I don't have any defense to that. I mean, I said, you're right, you know. Depends on which situation that we're talking about. Everything basically before the affair, I was trying to justify it somehow. Like saying to someone that they look sexy, I'm trying to justify it with models are very self-conscious and you need to make them feel good because they're constantly comparing themselves to what they see in my portfolio or other people's portfolios. Uh-huh. So I'm just trying to make them feel good. And
she threw the flag on that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that what was really going on?
That's what was really going on. So
you're telling the truth. You were just saying, I'd love to see you rolling around the dirt next to nothing to help build her self-esteem.
We were joking around back and forth on that one. You know, we were throwing around shoot ideas and stuff like that.
It was a good joke.
Yeah. Do you understand how that would be offensive to her sensibilities?
In hindsight, I do. And I don't know why I keep doing it over and over
Was
again.
it a close call in figuring that out? Was that hard for you to see her point of view?
No. After the whole situation.
We have a lot of women in the audience. If that would be offensive to your sensibilities, if your man was doing that, raise your hand. Okay, just quick focus group to help you out. When you read those things, you confronted him about it. Was that a trigger for you to go into a rage?
On some occasions.
I think it was more of a trigger for her, the fact of my response toward it.
Depending on what comes out of his mouth is dependent on what I do, in honesty.
Like, what's the worst thing he can say that triggers you?
The worst thing that he says when I find stuff like that is, well, if you keep looking, you're going to find something. Like, if you look, there's going to be something. Like, it's my fault. I'm the one making things up. He says that every single time. And I said, well, I'd stop looking if I stopped finding things. I wouldn't feel the need to snoop if there wasn't evidence.
Do you have a way of expressing your anger that's nonviolent? Because one of the things you said to us is, if it's not violent, I don't feel better.
Yeah, I don't think so, no.
So you got to be pounding on somebody or you don't get relief.
On something, yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It has to be physical exertion, like physical. It can't be breathing because that, come on. I can hardly breathe. Let's be serious. I don't have time for that.
You don't have time
For breathing. No.
for breathing?
No.
You mean breathing exercise?
Yeah.
You're counting to 10 or calming yourself.
Yeah,
or
counting to
whatever.
10, that's for kids. I can't do that.
Because you're much more mature than that.
Probably not.
Yeah, you're okay.
Point taken.
I have a very important question for Aaron. If he's such a tough military guy, why is he putting up with all this abuse?
When we physically fight, I hit my husband in the face, in the back, chest. I will slap him. I think my husband doesn't call the police on me because he knows that I will manipulate my way out of it. I will just tell them, look at me. I'm like 120 pounds. Look at him. He's like 170. Like, really? I'm doing damage? I don't think so.
Their worst fight ever was when she sat on Aaron's lap and repeatedly punched him in the face with both of her hands. She had sores and bruises on her hands when it was over. What set that off?
I remember the place. I remember the time, the argument. I don't remember. I really, truly, honestly don't.
So it was important enough for you to sit in his lap and pound him in the face with both of your hands, but you can't recall what it was. Just something, I don't know.
Well, Dr. Phill, for us, this is our everyday life.
Yeah, so why is that? What the hell's the matter with you?
I don't...
No, seriously, what the hell's the matter with you? You got somebody sitting in your lap, pounding you in the face with both hands. You say, this is my daily life. What the hell's wrong with you? Why are you accepting that? Why are you doing that?
It seems like through the service and everything like that, I've been trained to put up with a lot of...
No.
I've been trained to do a lot of stuff like that.
The service did not take your spine. It did not take your self-esteem. It did not take your ability to think. Don't tell me that military training taught you to allow someone to beat and abuse you and do it in front of your children. That's not true.
It taught me that I was the strong one and I can take a lot. It taught me that I'm not allowed to lay a hand on my wife.
Did it teach you anything about being a leader?
Yes.
Then what about leading your family here? What about stepping up and manning up and doing what it takes to get the right things done? Did you write me for help? No. Your wife wrote me for help. She wrote me on November 4th of 2010. Then she writes again December 10, just a few months ago.
5 days after the affair.
You are desperately trying to get this fixed. What do you stand to lose here if it doesn't?
Everything.
And that, of course, would prove you right, wouldn't it? Because you don't believe you deserve a husband. You don't believe you deserve these children. You think you are broken and damaged. And if the whole thing fell apart and it all went away, you just say, see? Do you think you're okay?
No.
Do you think you're broken? Do you think you're damaged?
Yeah.
Do you think you're behaving like a crazy woman?
Oh, God, yeah.
That's what you said in your email.
I feel like a crazy person.
Woman.
Yeah.
So if that's what you believe about yourself, then let me tell you what you're going to do. You're going to create exactly what you think you deserve. We do that. We have a personal truth. We have something we believe about ourselves. And then we generate the results we think we deserve. Well, I tried to identify what the triggers were from talking to both of you. It seems to be when you feel disrespected, when you feel abandoned, if your world is threatened, or if he shuts down, pulls out, ignores you.
Very correct.
Those are 4 major triggers for you, right? Do you notice that every one of them has to do with security?
No, I do, yeah. I guess I never really wrote them down and focused on them.
Every one of them has to do with security. Fear.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that as you look at it?
Makes me wonder where that came from.
Well, you were certainly betrayed as a child, right?
Yeah.
Certain things that shouldn't happen, it did happen.
Yeah, I kind of feel like things could have gone a little bit easier.
Next, Ashley and Aaron aren't the only ones living in this war zone. As I've alluded to, they have 2 small children, ages 6 and 3. So how much have these children seen and experienced? You may be doing this in your own home. I'm going to talk about the impact this has on the children. We'll be right back.
I do favor my daughter over my son. She's a lot easier. My daughter is a lot easier. She's easygoing. She's just happy. My son is exactly like me. He screams when he cries. It's really obnoxious noise. And I just go, stop it, stop. I have told my son before, when I'm really angry, quit crying, quit being a baby, knock it off. We always fight in front of the kids. We live in a very turbulent household. I have stood over my son and yelled and screamed at him in his face at the top of my lungs many, many times. And I still do to this day. My son shows many signs of having the same rage that I do. My son has social and emotional issues. I feel we're 100% to blame. Sometimes I wish that we wouldn't have had kids because we weren't ready, and obviously we are not that great together. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't think I'm a good mom. I would give anything to be a good mom.
So where are you falling short?
My behavior. I yell at him. When I get scared or emotional for him, I will grab him and squeeze his arm really hard, stop, if he's embarrassing me, at the airport, he wouldn't go down the escalator because he was scared of it. And there was a crowd of people behind us, and I just grabbed his arm and I was like, you need to come with me right now and just stop it. I will help you, and it's not telling him that he can trust me. That's telling him be afraid and come now. And I know that in my head, but my body is just doing something different. I'm not treating him right. And I've been doing it since he was a baby and a kid.
And how's he doing with his rage?
Not good. He screams. When he gets angry, he used to just scream, I hate you, you're the world's worst mommy, I don't love you, and stomp, throw things. He has social, emotional issues. His school told him that he had anxiety, depression. I don't know if he really does, but.
Well, children learn what they live, right?
Yeah.
So he's modeling and mimicking you. Mm-hmm. And where are you when all this is going on?
I'm usually sitting there too. I guess I kind of take a back seat because Ashley's the mother. She's had, education and childhood development and stuff like that. I haven't. I'm kind of I'm kind of lost when it comes to all this kind of stuff. But when I see stuff like that, I'll be telling Ashley, hey, can settle down. Can you, tone it back a little bit? Just basically back off. And one of her big triggers is whenever I say settle down.
You're backing off and staying out of it because you don't want to pay the price, right? So I'm going to get hell for this. I step in, she's going to do this. She's going to turn on me. It's going to trigger. It's going to go.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. So 6-year-old, 3-year-old, the hell with you. I'm saving myself. How selfish is that? You need to man up. She's over there abusing these children, yelling, screaming, jerking, and yelling, and you're saying, oh, I'm not wading into that. I'll get the same thing. You do whatever you have to protect the children. It is already showing in your son, correct? He's yelling, he's raging, he's stomping his feet. The school's saying he's having anxiety, and he is. He's freaking out because his world is scary. What is Ashley really scared of? I'll get to the bottom of that when we come back.
This scares me when I hear stuff like this.
Scares you enough to go and have an affair?
Touche.
The sight of my husband makes makes me annoyed all the time. Just being around him sometimes just makes me, even when he's doing nothing. I just despise him, and I think it's just pent up anger.
You know, I ask what you do with your children. I made a list of the things you said. You said, I have stood over my son and yelled at him in his face, have spanked my son up to 6 to 7 times in one sitting. I have slapped him across the face. I have said, quit crying, quit being a baby. My daughter is perfect.
I said that. I don't know how 2 children can be so different. I mean, it sounds horrible, but she just, I don't know, she just made it through the storm. I don't know. She comes up to me and she sees me upset and she sees me crying.
Oh, it's early. That changes those children in a meaningful and lasting way. You are writing on the slate of who they are.
I'm living proof of that.
And you lived it. Now you are repeating the legacy.
Yep.
I asked you before what you're so angry about. I ask you now what you're so scared about. What are you afraid is going to happen so terrible in your life?
That I'm going to completely destroy my children. They're going to turn out like me. It's the last thing I want. I want anybody to feel the way I feel. Bruised, broken, sad.
Go on, keep talking.
Destroyed.
Don't stop.
Empty. Incomplete. Unlovable. Ugly. Just every negative word you can think of. That's how I feel.
And what do you say to yourself when you're alone with you and really disgusted?
People would be better off without you. Your children would be happier if they just had their dad.
Have you thought about killing yourself?
Thought about it, but I haven't planned anything out.
And why would you do it?
Because I think that I'm hurting everybody else more than I'm helping.
Do you think you're at risk?
No. I know that I get angry, and sometimes I think I'm at risk of hurting my husband or collateral damage. I know that. I need to be realistic about that.
You know the number one reason people give for killing themselves? They believe they're just a burden. That everybody they love would just be better off without them.
Well, I do feel that way. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yeah. Well, that's a first step down a really, really dangerous road.
This scares me when I hear stuff like this. It just, I mean...
Scares you enough to go and have an affair?
Touche.
Well, on that note, we'll take a break. Can Ashley and Aaron's marriage survive all of this? Can she survive all of this? And should this marriage and family even continue? Or is it time to just shut this down? We'll be right back.
I've contemplated divorce on several occasions, especially after I see how this fighting is affecting our children.
I know I need to make a complete 180. I need to stop being so angry. I need to stop being so bitter. I need to trust. Right now, I give our marriage about a year before I get divorced.
I asked you what you were so angry about. I asked you what you were so afraid of. Now I'm going to ask you probably the most important question that I've asked you today. What do you want? What do you want?
I want that 180. I want to be a completely different person. And I want to be a good mother.
What if that was possible? Well, what would it mean to you if that happened in your life?
It would mean everything to me.
Well, I'm getting ready to give you a roadmap of exactly how to do that, and then I'm going to help you execute that roadmap. So what I'm getting ready to say, you need to hear with both ears. Everybody has a philosophy in life, and yours is get them before they get me. And it's just really hard to approach somebody if they're like this all the time, right?
Yeah.
Your children will learn that you are a source of pain, not comfort. Your daughter, too. He will finally say, what the hell? Unless you decide, wait a minute. What if I have a choice? What if I trust myself enough to take the risk of not getting them before they get me? What if I trust myself enough to just be me and see if people come to me or run away? What if I come out from behind this wall and find out whether or not I get trampled on or whether I don't? But you'll never know until you put them down. Tell me the 5 best things about who you are.
I'm trustworthy. I'm honest. I'm loyal. I can only do 3.
And you give me the Boy Scout oath. I'm honest, trustworthy, and loyal. You don't have an answer. You can't even get to 5. You gave me 25 things that you hate about yourself. And you can't give me 5 that you like about yourself.
I've never been good at that.
Your self-esteem is on the floor. You didn't choose to put it there, but that's where it is. And when we're fearful, we often react in anger because it's our safest emotion, right?
Oh, yeah.
We get hurt less when we're angry than when we're open, when we're vulnerable. And so you're defaulting to anger to protect the self-esteem that you don't have any belief or confidence in. That is going to change. You've changed just being here today. You need help with this. You don't need couples therapy right now. You're not angry at him. He's just handy. I'm going to get you some help with this. I'm going to get you some help selfishly for you. I just want you to be selfish on your own behalf. I'm going to arrange for some very specialized help for you that's going to work on your self-esteem, your self-worth, and a whole lot of forgiveness. And I'm willing to do that if you will look me in the eye and say to me, Dr. Phill, I deserve it. It's my turn.
Dr. Phill, I deserve it. It's my turn.
Why was that so emotional for you to say?
It's hard for me to say that it's something just for me. I think about everybody else.
You give me just even 90 days, your world is going to look a whole lot different. Okay?
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Definitely.
Fair enough?
It's amazing.
Thank you for being here. Up next, we're talking about a secret illness that put my next guest out of work and keeps her feeling like she actually has to hide from society. We'll be right back.
Picking clothes out every day is a struggle. I constantly have to make sure my sleeves are long enough, or if I do wear shorts, they go to my knees. And I avoid wearing dark colored clothing. I'm the 26-year-old mother of 2, and I've been struggling with severe plaque psoriasis for almost 7 years. I suffer from this condition on my hands, my knees, my arms, my chest, my scalp, my face. I think and obsess about it all the time. It drives me crazy. On a daily basis, I have to take into consideration my psoriasis. I wear my hair big to conceal my psoriasis on my scalp. I don't want people to have to look at my psoriasis on my scalp, and that's all that you can see, especially around my face and all right here where I part my hair. I don't like to pull my hair up in a ponytail because I don't like people to see my psoriasis on my ears. My ears will start bleeding. It's pretty bad. Picking clothes out every day is a struggle. I constantly have to make sure that my sleeves are long enough, or if I do wear shorts, they go to my knees. And I avoid wearing dark colored clothing to avoid my psoriasis flakes from my scalp falling down all over me. I'm teaching my daughter that everybody is beautiful inside and out, and I wonder how I can be a good role model for her when I don't feel that way about myself.
Well, on the tape with Seeger, and I thank you for being here, because this is something you kind of hide from, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you're not hiding. You're out here talking about it. And also joining us to talk about psoriasis is our very good friend, Dr. Frida Lewis Hall, Chief Medical Officer of Pfizer. Dr. Frida, take us through this. Talk about psoriasis. What is it? What do we need to know?
Psoriasis is a chronic inflammatory disease. Basically what happens is your immune system mistakenly instructs skin cells to grow too quickly. And those overgrown cells collect in patches, or things we call plaques. And these plaques can be anywhere over your body. And frequently, as Seeger told us, the scalp, the elbows, the knees, and your torso or your chest are the common places. And you just mentioned that sometimes people are afraid that they might catch your psoriasis.
Yes. They either think it's an infection or have some sort of like crazy disease. They don't know what it is.
In fairness to people, if they don't know, do people, if they're around someone that has this condition, do they need to be scared? Is it contagious?
Well, this is the perfect time to set the record straight. No. Psoriasis is not contagious. Not contagious. You can't catch it. In fact, research suggests that in order to actually develop psoriasis, a person has to have a genetic predisposition and also exposure to a trigger. And that trigger can be something like stress, an infection, an injury to the skin, or even certain medicines.
About 40% of people with psoriasis, more so in women, minorities, and young people, really report experiencing social discrimination, like being refused service at hair salons, not being permitted to use public pools. You've felt the sting of this, right?
Yes, I have. I've actually went into a cell phone store, and I was going to pay my bill and asked them a few questions that I had about my phone. And I'd put my hands up on the counter, and the lady that was working just went back for me after she seen my hands when I had a really bad flare up, and she just went like this and like didn't want to, touch my phone or help me with my stuff. So,
and being judged for how you look is bad enough. Even worse, when being judged has the kind of emotional distress that you just described, but also can aggravate your symptoms. The other thing is, though psoriasis alone is not enough, people with psoriasis also have an increased risk to develop other illnesses, depression, arthritis, heart disease, and diabetes. That's why it is so very important for people who have psoriasis to come forward, to speak out, and to get with a medical team that can help find the best treatment platform that may work for them. And I was really struck by your question. You said, what can I do to be a good role model for my daughter when I have this disease? So, for starters, to have the courage to be here, to tell your story, to help other people, what a wonderful role model that is for your daughter. So you should be really proud of yourself. In addition, you're working to control all these pieces of psoriasis, so to get as much control over this disease as you can. But you also show the grace to accept those things that you can't, and then to deal with those as best as possible. And importantly, and also something that you're doing today, which I think is absolutely critical, is that you are teaching your daughter that how you treat others is as visible and as impactful as any skin disease can be. How beautiful that is. And of course, Dr. Phill, there's so much to know about psoriasis and so many resources that people need. Of course, we invite folks, if they want to know more, to go to gethealthystayhealthy.com.
Yeah. And listen, this gethealthystayhealthy.com is an absolute wealth of information, and they're going to find what they need on psoriasis on this side, as well as a whole lot of other things. And you actually write a blog on here, so we get to hear from you on there as well. And
even better, so you get to hear from me, but there are dozens of experts that contribute to the site. So myself, but other experts.
Yeah. If you haven't been there, it's gethealthystayhealthy.com. Put it on your favorites list. I have it on mine. All right, I'd like to thank all of my guests today, especially Dr. Frida Lewis Hall. And Seeger, thank you for having the courage to come be kind of a poster girl for all of this. For more information on today's show, you can visit drphill.com. We'll see you next time. All right, great job. Great job. Good job. Really good.
Andrew Singler.
Her brother killed her boyfriend.
I lost my two best friends.
Was it murder?
He could have called 911, but instead he left him lying there and ran away.
Or self-defense?
My son was attacked.
Why did he walk into the apartment with an open knife?
It wasn't open.
He said it was. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've heard long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phill.
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
5, 4.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. Today, a Dr. Phill exclusive. A college student with dreams of becoming a dentist is brutally murdered. The killer? His beautiful girlfriend's 19-year-old brother. Now, headlines about the shocking murder had everyone talking. Michigan teen to face trial in stabbing death of sister's boyfriend. Text messages led to murder conviction of Connor McCowan. Connor McCowan, 19, sentenced to 20 to 60 years in prison for murder of Andrew Singler. That one fateful night 9 months ago ruined the lives of 2 young men. One sits locked behind bars for the next 20 to 60 years, while the other lies in a coffin. What sparked their deadly fight? Take a look.
Connor McCowan is charged with murder in the February 23rd stabbing death of Michigan State University senior Andrew Singler.
Court records say there had been an argument between Singler and McCowan's sister earlier in the evening that Connor McCowan, quote-unquote, took exception to. Police say McCowan stabbed Singler the morning of February 23rd. During a fight at the Castle Point apartment Singler shared with McCowan's sister and another roommate. He suffered multiple stab wounds, one to the arm and one to the heart.
The teenager's murder trial focused on text messages sent just minutes before the stabbing death of an MSU senior.
Texts read in court illustrate the violent and threatening texts Connor and Singler sent each other, ultimately leading up to their deadly fight.
Come on, let's do this. Talk behind my back. I'll destroy you any day. Then you wouldn't have a problem if I showed up at your apartment right now then, huh? Come on over, I'll embarrass you.
Tears fall from the face of Connor McCowan as he takes the stand today. Upon approaching the apartment, McCowan said he took the knife out of the center console of his car.
I didn't know what was going to happen. I was trying to be on the safe side. I was terrified. I thought he was going to kill me. I've never seen that bad.
McCowan said he used the knife to defend himself.
I grabbed my knife, it was pocket, and I just tapped him like this. I needed him off me. I tried to get him off me.
Connor McCowan sat straight-faced as Judge Kennedy read the verdict in his murder trial.
Second-degree murder, guilty.
But behind McCowan, family and friends sobbed, hugged, and wiped away tears.
Well, Connor's parents, Randy and Judy McCowan, and his sister Shay, are desperate to prove the teenager they know and love isn't a cold-blooded killer. They say Connor did not intend to murder Shay's boyfriend, Andrew. He was attacked and acting in self-defense. Take a look.
The night that Andrew died, we were at the bar. He gave me a piggyback ride. He slipped and I fell off his back. He played it off like it wasn't a big deal. He was very drunk and he called me he called me a whore, called me
Shay texted Connor that she and Andrew had been in a fight.
If Andrew and I got into a fight, he was a mediator.
Connor was getting all sorts of calls and texts and threatening messages from Andrew.
Andrew baited Connor 15 times in text messages to try to get him over there to that apartment, threatening to kill him and to stick him.
When Connor got to the apartment complex, he looked at his phone. One text said, "Hurry up so I can kill you." Connor was afraid to go up there without having any protection for himself.
The pocket knife was in his car, and he thought, I better put this knife in my pocket. Connor was buzzed into the apartment. When Connor got there, the door opened.
And Andrew flew at him and started punching him in the head.
Connor said he couldn't get away from Andrew, so he took out his knife and cut him.
Andrew grabbed his stomach and then went down on the ground.
I got a call from Andrew's mom. And she said, "Andrew's dead. We don't want you at the funeral, and we hope your brother rots in prison for the rest of his life."
Connor came home, woke me up, and told me what had happened.
It was just an awful nightmare for everybody. They arrested my son and read him his rights and took him to jail.
I lost my two best friends in the matter of seconds.
It's been 9 months now, and nothing will ever be the same again.
Now, Connor's mother, Judy, Father Randy, and Sister Shay are joining us today. And first off, look, I'm terribly sorry that this has happened. 20 to 60 years, you all think is ridiculously harsh, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Why is this penalty so harsh in your opinion?
Well, I think obviously Connor was trying to defend himself that evening. It was clear. I don't know if it's 20 to 60 years, if it's just an eye for an eye, and let's throw away another life because they lost a son. I mean, I get it. It's horrific that they lost their son, but he was like a son to me, and I've lost 3 kids now, not just one. So
I feel awful what's happened to Andrew, but my son didn't do anything illegal that night. He was defending himself. He was attacked.
Why did you decide to get your brother involved in the fight?
Connor is my best friend, and the 3 of us, Connor, Andrew, and I, we were best friends, hung out every single day. And anytime Andrew and I would be in an argument and things would get out of hand, I'd give Connor a call and he'd come over, and he wouldn't get in the middle of things, but his presence would mediate the situation. Mm-hmm. We'd go back to laughing and having fun. And that night I was so overwhelmed and I was in so much pain that I just texted him.
Did your brother take it the way I did, that your rib had been broken because Andrew had attacked you?
I'm not sure how he interpreted it, but my text message didn't wake him up. He read the text message after Andrew had called him once, and he asked me, "Are you okay?" And then I told him I was okay.
Do you feel like you started the dominoes falling here when you texted Connor?
I don't think so, because my text message didn't wake Connor up that night. If Andrew had never called him, Connor would have read the text message in the morning, and I could have explained then.
Dozens of messages were sent between Shay, Andrew, and Connor the night of Andrew's death, as well as like 100 calls from Andrew looking for Shay. Will they prove Connor was fighting for his life? We'll be right back.
I get messages weekly from people I don't know, blaming me that I should be in prison instead of my brother. I received a picture of Andrew saying that I'm the reason why he's dead. It's just so painful. People will never understand what I'm dealing with inside.
911.
My friend, he just been stabbed. I'm driving to Phill Hospital right now. I just got home to my apartment, and there he was. I don't know what to do.
Do you want to stop and get an ambulance? How's he doing?
Andrew, you with me, dude? I don't think he's doing too well. He's not responsive.
All right, so we either need you to stop and get an ambulance coming to your location, or you need to get him to the hospital.
I can get him to the hospital right now.
Okay, so when you came home to your apartment, you found him in the apartment?
Yes, he's laying right there.
And is he unconscious right now?
No, he's just breathing really hard.
So where in his body is he stabbed?
I don't know if it's a lung puncture or not. I just picked him up and grabbed him and went.
Is he able to talk to you right now?
Andrew, can you say something to me? Anything, man? No, he's not saying anything now.
He does. Actually answer your questions. You need to ask him who did it.
Okay. We're almost there, dude. Hang tight, man.
What's your name?
It's Tyler. I'm his roommate.
Okay. Is he breathing?
Well, it's almost like he's choking or something. So I'm about to pull into the emergency in the ER.
That was the 911 call made by Andrew's roommate. Now, during the trial, one of the most damning pieces of evidence was that after stabbing Andrew, Connor did not call 911. Instead, he ran. He drove all the way home, ditched the knife on the way, woke up his father, and told him what happened. Then, instead of calling 911 from their home, Randy and Connor drove back to Andrew's house to check on him. Now, if someone had made that call sooner, would Andrew still be alive? Hindsight's 20/20, but the prosecution made a point of all of this, correct? If he said it was self-defense, once he had incapacitated him and was no longer threatened by him, he could have called for assistance, but instead he ran and threw away the knife. And
he was afraid, afterward, but he never thought that wound was something that would kill, that Andrew would die from.
Well, let's take a look at some of the text that went back and forth between them. It was clearly inflammatory, but there was a very unusual undertone of civility between the two at the same time. Connor to Andrew, blank, I'll knock your teeth in, watch who you're talking to, you told me where you are, and I'm already awake. I have no problem finding you just to blank whoop your ass. Then Andrew back to Connor, oh, you're so hard, Connor, I'm so scared. Then Connor to Shay, okay, well, I'm about to get in my car and find him and beat the out of him. He's saying all of this blank about you and cussing at me and blank like that. So did you get that text? So you knew he was going to find him.
I didn't think he would actually do it. I think he was just really worked up that we were waking him up with this.
Andrew to Connor, I'm home, you blank idiot. Andrew to Connor, good call though. Connor to Andrew, then you're just adding fuel to the fire then, and I'll say anything to your face, blank. What makes you think I'd be afraid of you, all 5'11" of you? Ha! Andrew to Connor, good one, Connor. You're barely taller than me, blank. Andrew to Connor, ouch, you really got me. Andrew to Connor, you're pathetic. Connor to Andrew, then you wouldn't have a problem if I showed up at your apartment right now then, huh? Andrew to Connor, come over, I'll blank embarrass you. So that's their exchange. I mean, it sounds like a couple of little kids.
It does, it was horrible.
And then this one, which I thought was interesting, Andrew to Connor, blank you. Connor to Andrew, 20 minutes. Andrew to Connor, blank you. Connor to Andrew, I got to get gas first. That's what I mean. It's like, this doesn't sound like a homicidal maniac to me. When Connor's saying that, Andrew to Connor, great, hurry up. Andrew to Connor, so I can blank kill you. Then Connor to Andrew, will do. Andrew to Connor, not literally, but your ass needs to be beaten, and guess what, blank, I'm going to blank make sure it happens. So it's like, okay, I'm coming over, but I got to stop and get some gas. Okay, hurry up. And he says, I'm going to kill you. Well, wait, I don't mean really kill you, but this is happening on two levels.
I personally think to him saying I'm stopping for gas, and it was like saying you still have time to apologize to me, you still have time to make this right.
Why did he walk into the apartment with an open knife?
It wasn't open when he walked into
He
the
said
apartment.
it was.
He didn't go into the apartment.
Connor said as he got out of the car, he opened the knife.
And put it in his pocket. Yeah.
You understand how a prosecutor uses this and how a jury hears it. He goes from location A to location B. He shows up, opens a deadly weapon, puts it in his pocket, and then goes to the guy and then says it was self-defense. You understand?
I understand how it appears,
regardless
but it
of
is
that.
legal to do. You can legally put a pocket knife into your pocket in our state. You can open it in our state. So what he did, yes, it doesn't sound that great, but what he did was legal. He was afraid he was hoping to God he didn't have to use it.
I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not saying it's illegal, but I'm telling you from having debriefed thousands of jurors that they're looking at state of mind. Okay. And he went in with a deadly weapon. All right, next, Shay and Andrew's relationship. Were they a volatile, toxic couple? Did Shay keep their troubles hidden from everyone close to her until it was too late? Is Connor a good boy who was legitimately afraid? We'll talk about all of that next.
Connor does not deserve to be in prison right now. He is an overall great guy. We had about 40 letters that were written to the judge asking for leniency in his sentencing. He's got a big heart, and he wouldn't go out of his way to hurt anybody.
It's been a trial full of tears as emotional testimony on the life and death of Andrew Singler plays out in the courtroom. The prosecuting attorney says Connor made the intentional decision to go to Singler's and knew how serious it was to bring the knife.
Andrew Singler was murdered by the defendant.
I think the prosecution and the family wanted an eye for an eye.
I was in shock. The judge read that the jury found him guilty of second-degree murder. When I heard the verdict, I was devastated. I just wanted to take him and hold him and keep him with me.
We all yelled, "We love you, Connor. It's not over. We'll continue to fight for you."
Connor McCowan says the night he stabbed his sister's boyfriend, Andrew, that he was punched in the head and that he acted in self-defense. In fact, Connor doesn't use the word stab. He says swiped. So he did not perceive it as having stabbed someone, but instead he described a swiping motion to get him away from him. Did you have a relationship with Andrew that was violent? Was he violent towards you?
He was violent towards me.
Did you tell anyone about that?
I called the police, but then I hung up because I didn't want anybody to know.
So you never made a complaint, and apparently you never told your parents.
No.
Because you feared they would say, that's it, no more, which you would have.
Absolutely.
Did Connor have bruises or cuts or whatever that were documented by photograph that night of having been beaten about the head?
When he came home to talk to us,
is this a picture from that night?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see above his left eye,
Mm-hmm.
there's an abrasion there.
Yep.
He said he got hit on the top
On the
of the
top
head.
of his
and
head,
I also
too.
saw some scratches below his T-shirt line because he mentioned that, and the witness testimony also states that there was tussling going on, kind of call it, wrestling, tussling after he'd been assaulted and hit 2 to 3 times in the head. Kind
Connor said there was one on the top of his head, which nobody documented, but I also saw scratches because he said he had his head down, and he said so he cut him trying to get himself to exit himself from that situation. And the minute that he could, of course, Andrew fell, and then Connor told me the roommate said, "Run," which I said, "Why do you think that was?" And he said, because he thought, okay, now's your time to get away. The roommate was the one that tried to hold Andrew back. He said with all his might, Andrew got past him out into the hallway. Connor was not in the apartment, and the roommate testified he landed a haymaker. So if Connor had a concussion, we don't know how one acts at that point and what they feel in their head that they need to do to get out of that situation. So
was Andrew armed in any way?
No.
He didn't have a gun or a knife or a.
There was a knife right inside the house, but he didn't have it on him. No.
He entered the building with an open knife in his pocket, inflicted an injury on someone, and left him lying there and ran away and threw away the weapon. You get those are non-disputed, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Did you consider calling 911 when he came and woke you up and said, I cut him?
I did not. You know, I'm a dad. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a doctor. I thought, okay, he said he cut him. I said, did you see any blood? He said, no. He fell. I ran to get away from the situation, so immediately tried to contact Andrew. No response. Went over there immediately. You know, so I was trying to figure out what was going on. It was 4 a.m. I just was awoken by this and in shock and not knowing how to handle it.
You say he certainly didn't murder someone, but what did he do wrong here?
I think it would have been smarter for him not to have gone over there.
Turn off the phone, not respond.
Do you think that the jury made the right decision here?
Absolutely not.
This is on appeal?
Yes, sir. We will be appealing that.
Have you spoken to Andrew's parents?
No.
No.
We've reached out on day one. They've denied us any contact.
How is Connor doing?
Horrible. They've diagnosed him severely depressed, post-traumatic stress, and so he's not doing well.
My experience, having spent most of my professional career in the court system as a trial science consultant, juries tend to get it right. They just almost always do. And if the result is unjust, it's generally because of what they were told or not told.
Mm-hmm. There's tons they weren't told. So.
All right. We'll be right back. Alicia says her husband never laid a hand on her and never threatened to kill her. She says his verbal and psychological abuse didn't leave bruises, but it hurt just as much. When she finally had the courage to leave him, the unthinkable happened.
Ambushed and almost killed on her way into work.
Last week, Alicia Waters was shot several times by her estranged husband before he killed himself.
Leading up to this deadly day in Fort Thomas, police concluded that Dennis Mathis had become enraged because of his estranged wife, Alicia Waters' relationship with her new boyfriend. The couple was going through a divorce. Police say on the morning of August 6th, Mathis arrived early at the one place where he knew he would find at least Waters, at her job in Fort Thomas.
From my witnesses, that when she arrived at the scene, he came running from the building between two cars and ambushed her right there in the lot.
Mathis purchased a gun the day before the shooting.
Since being shot 5 times, Alicia Waters continues to heal.
Well, Alicia is not here today. She's not here because she's in the hospital. She's joining us via satellite from Shepherd Center, one of the nation's top rehabilitation hospitals for spinal cord and brain injuries. And Elisa is with her brother, Kurt. So, Elisa, Kurt, I'm glad to meet you and terribly, terribly sorry for the circumstance. Take me through the moment that this happened and you got shot.
I remember everything. I remember walking into my place of employment, and when you walk in, there's an elevator with 3 flights. I, of course, was waiting for the 3rd floor. I kind of felt somebody behind me, and I turned to look. And he was standing behind me with a gun pointed at me, with the most evil look in his eyes that I've ever seen, almost satanic, I guess you could say. And he started shooting, and I fell to the ground. I begged him to stop. He shot a few more times. Thank God the elevator door was open. I managed to get my head to the elevator, let it bang my head against the wall a few times to play dead. I believe he shot me one more time, and the next thing I knew, he had shot himself in the face and fell to the ground.
And this was after a period of time that you had actually gotten away from him, correct?
Yes, sir. I've been gone approximately 5, maybe 5.5 months.
You tried to get a restraining order, but the judge would not grant one. Why?
She said that he was, that he wouldn't harm me, that there was no harm. She saw no reason to grant this.
Because there was no threat of physical violence.
Correct.
Kurt, you look at this from the outside, and it's frustrating to you that the system failed your sister.
Well, of course it is. I mean, she did, well, in my eyes, everything that she could to prevent the situation from happening. She went and got the EPO, and just because she hadn't been, hit and there was no bruising, it was denied.
Sometimes people just don't understand two things. Number one, that abuse can be just as hurtful if it is verbal and emotional and environmental in terms of being controlled and isolated. And they don't understand how quickly it accelerates from that sort of abuse to physical and life-threatening abuse. And we know that one of the most dangerous times is when you are separated from your abuser. It's called separation assault, because abusers want to control, they want to dominate, they want to be able to get real tight grip on you to make sure you do what you want them to do. And when that grip loosens, then they panic and they go to the next level. They go to something desperate. And Alicia, thank you so much for coming and helping and sharing your story. Take a look at this sweet sentiment from a wife to her spouse. Without you, my life can never be complete. You complete me, my husband. It's Mort and Carrie forever. Well, it warms your heart, doesn't it? Well, here's the bad news. Mort has never spent time with this woman, the woman he believes is his so-called wife, Carrie. Why? Well, according to him, she is trapped in Malaysia and needs $9,000 to get home. Take a look.
I met Carrie on a dating website after my wife passed away. So I've had between 1,000 and 1,500 emails from her. She's told me that she wants to be my wife, and I know she's sincere about the whole thing. Carrie's stuck in Malaysia, and she's trying to get back home to me. Our plans are to get married when she gets home. Carrie did ask me for money on the second or third time that I emailed her. I think I've sent Carrie money 500 times. Carrie needed money for her hotel bill, to pay the Malaysian tax on her inheritance, to pay the IRS, the IMF. She needed money for the attorney. She needed money to eat on. The first payments that I sent to Carrie was through local banks. Then I went to Western Union, and then I went to UPS. I sent about $172,000 total to Malaysia trying to get Carrie home. Everybody that I've dealt with has told me that it's a scam. I believe she's real. I believe she's a very nice lady. I really want Carrie to come home. I need her in my life. This will be the greatest present she could ever have. And I can say the same. If I can get her home. I'm sorry.
But Mort's daughters, Kim and Anne Marie, believe their father is being scammed out of thousands of dollars by a catfish, a person who they believe he has never met, even though he claims he has.
I believe my dad is very gullible. If you come to his house to sell him a vacuum cleaner, he's gonna buy it.
I first heard about Carrie about a year and a half ago.
My dad was looking for a companion. This is a guy who did not know how to turn on a computer prior to this. I definitely called on the whole Carrie story.
I was shocked when I heard he was sending her money. I said, Dad, I'm sorry, but I think this is a scam.
He told me, I wish you would mind your own business because you don't know the whole story.
He truly believed it's not a scam.
I believe that there's 5 guys sitting around a round table high-fiving every time the money arrives. My mom passed away last year. Dad received the $40,000 life insurance policy and he wired that money to Malaysia. As we speak, her ashes are at the funeral home. We were waiting for that money to buy her headstone.
We haven't buried her yet. We feel really bad about that.
I believe that he's going to continue sending money if we can't prove whether this is a scam or whether she's real.
Okay. Well, Mort, I'm glad to meet you. And you know that your daughters believe that this person is not real.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you know about Carrie, who you love. She says she's an only child and that both of her parents are deceased, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's part Malaysian. She went to Malaysia for her mother's funeral, right?
Yeah.
And she inherited $2.75 million?
That's what they say.
And she owns a home in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Right.
Okay. And she's an RN, but she's not working right now. She's unemployed.
She just got through with RN school when I met her or got to know who she was.
Okay. And she's stuck in Malaysia and she's trying to get the inheritance back to the U.S.
Yeah. Her mom's attorney met her at the funeral and told her about the inheritance.
Mm-hmm. So that was a surprise to her.
Yeah. She had no idea at all that she had any money over there.
How did y'all connect initially?
My wife passed away about 4 years ago, and so I got pretty lonesome. I got on this mating game, and this gal, her profile came up, and she's a nice-looking gal. We kind of started hitting it off, and so at that time, I think I sent her about $6,000 to pay the Malaysian tax, a government tax on her money, and then some money for her to eat on, and she was planning on getting out of there, and coming back.
But yet you say you've met her.
Yeah.
Where'd you meet her?
I went on a service call down at, actually it was east of Rapid City on Interstate. And I emailed her like the day before, and I told her that I was going to be coming through Rapid, and I asked her if she wanted to have lunch together.
This was before she went to Malaysia?
Yeah.
And this is how long?
It's been going on for a year and a half.
And how much have you sent her?
A lot of money.
We're talking about a lot of money here, because if you, in September, you sent her $9,810 because you gave us the records for this stuff. Then in October, $20,000. Then November, $18,000. December, $28,000. January, $5,500. It just kept going along until you get to a total of $138,873. Did you ever decide maybe you just ought to go over there to Malaysia and see about this?
Yeah, I don't have a passport, so.
Well, you can get one for less than $138,000.
I realize that.
We go down to the courthouse and they'll give you one down there for about $1.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a break. I got to take a break. I need to take a break. Mort says he was banned by Western Union from wiring any more money to Carrie Davis in Malaysia. So he found another alternative. Find out how he got $21,000 out of the country and why it could land him behind bars. We'll be right back.
I sent cash in magazines using UPS. I would take probably about this many hundreds, put them in an envelope, package this money up like this, seal the envelopes up, open the book about the center of the book, and I taped the envelope into the book so it wouldn't fall out. Then I put another envelope in and taped the third one in there. So if they opened the envelope up and took it out, the money would still be in the book, hoping that Carrie would get this, sent it with UPS. We did it several times. It worked fine.
So you've been smuggling money to her in magazines.
That's what I told him. You don't know if the money's going over there for a drug scam, for prostitution.
But you've been smuggling her money in magazines, right?
Well, yeah, I guess that's what it is.
The penalties for doing that, bulk cash smuggled out of the U.S. without reporting it, is imprisonment for a period of up to 5 years, and they can seize all the money and any of the property associated with the person who's sending the money. They can seize your property, they can seize your farms, they can seize everything, and they're being very, very rigid about this because they don't want people sending money out of the U.S. and getting it to the Taliban or other enemies of the United States. And they take this very seriously at this point.
Absolutely. And UPS has been put on notice. They see this continually. They report that to the federal authorities, and they're actively probably have 100 investigations going right now on this type of smuggling.
Well, I couldn't figure out how he was sending it since he was banned from Western Union and everything else. So I asked our local UPS guy if Dad was sending any packages, and he goes, yes, he is. And he called his supervisor, and I got on the phone with her, and she said that they have been investigating Dad for quite a while.
That's not good. Now, one other thing I needed to share with you, Carrie says she's stuck in Malaysia, right? She says she's stuck there and she's trying to get her $2.5 million inheritance before she returns back to the U.S. But we found that same picture here. This is Carrie, right?
Mm-hmm.
This woman right here that you say you had lunch with in South Dakota, who's now in Malaysia trying to get 5 steel boxes of cash out on a boat, is actually listed on a mail order bride site in the Ukraine. How you reckon that's happening?
I don't know.
By the way, we're showing these pictures knowing that this is probably not the picture of a scammer. Whoever she is, we want her to know her photo is being used to perpetrate a scam. So we're not saying that person is a bad egg. Mort, it breaks my heart to tell you this, but not one thing about this story confirms to be what you're told it is. Carrie Davis is a made-up persona. I mean, you could do it. You could call yourself Susie Q and go get a picture and cut and paste it up there and start typing stuff up. You've only talked to her essentially once on the phone. The other one didn't connect, and it's I mean, come on. Can you entertain the possibility that this person doesn't exist?
Oh, I guess I'll have to believe it. I mean, you've investigated this thing, and all I've done is probably send 1,500 emails to her, and she basically told me that she wants to move over here and get married and bring her all of her money over here and everything.
But you know, the truth is that if If that was the case, it would have happened by now, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been going on for a year and a half on this.
And the thing I want you to do is stop sending money.
Well, I'm not going to do it anymore.
And look, they're investigating you. You can't be doing this.
Yeah.
He wants to send 9,000 when we get back.
You do? You want to send 9,000 when you get back?
No. Well, she wanted me to. Yeah.
Carrie did.
It isn't going to happen. You're never going to meet this person because they don't exist. And I don't take pleasure in telling you that.
Yeah, well.
I take pleasure in you stopping sending money. You're a nice man. You don't deserve this. I want you to stop doing this. I got to tell you, you're in front of millions and millions of people right now, a bunch of them from Dakota. I got a sneaking suspicion you may not be as lonely as you were before you came here. Alicia, I know you have an overwhelming amount of medical bills, and when Aflac heard your story, they wanted to help. Aflac provides protection that allows people to focus on recovery because they know they will have money to take care of whatever they need. Now, while you focus on getting better, Aflac stands behind you so that you can stay ahead of your bills. Alicia and Kurt, Aflac wants to give you a check for $25,000 just to help you. There to give you the check is Aflac's Chief Operating Officer, Teresa White. Teresa, thank you so much for being there.
You're just so strong, and we really, really appreciate you sharing your story. And it's just been phenomenal what you've been through, and we hope that this can help you in some small way with your bills.
Thank you very, very much.
So thank you so much, Teresa and Aflac, and also a very special thanks to Doug Kane, former Supervisory Special Agent of the FBI and President of Risk Control Strategies. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship and needs help, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. Thank you so much for being here. So long.